Hello, everybody. Welcome to the drive-thru. I'm your host, Tony T. We'll take you to the top of the hour with a bunch of free picks and information from our slew of handicappers here on Pick Dogs. Just to let you know, we're here Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time every day on the Pick Dogs and Sports Chat Place YouTube channel and throughout social media. And you'll get a look here at the Pick Dogs right now as we're getting ready to bring them on with a lot of picks from today's card. And let's welcome my co-host to the show, Dana Lane. Dana, how you doing? I guess we'll start here in Vegas since you're based in Vegas. Guys, gonna be a little down here seeing your Vegas Knights go down.
Yeah, I need about 15 minutes to go through my feelings about the Golden Knights, Tony. But I can tell you this: I am not happy with the way the organization handles things on the ice and off the ice. There was word today about guys just not being able to ask questions in press conferences, and I just think that's absolute garbage. I think that the way they've handled everybody from Nate Schmidt to Zekas to even going back to Shipachyov it's just a complete joke. And now they're going to sit down with Marc-Andre Fleury next week and try to explain to him why he wasn't playing instead of Robin Leonard, or at least a rotation basis. That should be an interesting conversation with Kelly McCrimmon. But I think this team is going to get have a different look next year. You could even get guys like Riley Smith or William Karlsson. I mean, even though Karlsson just signed that deal, I mean, you can have guys out of here in a much different look in Vegas next year. But just not happy with the way that they've handled things. And unfortunately, Tony, I think a lot of that has trickled onto the ice.
Yeah, so look that way here. Of course, the Dallas moves on into the Stanley Cup Finals. So your thoughts overall on the game, the way it went down, Vegas with that lead, but couldn't hold it.
Yeah, Vegas just ran out of gas. They ran. I mean, you could say all you want about how they were better, and then the Corsi numbers were in their favor, and how they outplayed Dallas and Vancouver and Chicago. But honestly, at this point, you should never have run out of gas. And they had the easiest path to get to the Stanley Cup Final. You have Chicago, then you go to Vancouver, and in Dallas, a team that you absolutely destroyed in the first game of the round robin. And they just didn't have enough. And again, that's why I wonder, what percentage of the off the ice things have trickled down into the team where they're just kind of spent at this point. And that's, I thought they had enough energy to take that 2-0 lead, but they didn't have enough to put it away. And that's kind of a microcosm of what we saw in the Vancouver series, where they should have easily put that one away way earlier than they did. I think it's gut check time for this organization. I think the honeymoon is over. I think a lot of the guys that the fans fell in love with here are going to be pawns in the off season, and I think this is going to be a different look Vegas Golden Knight team headed into next season.
All right, we'll move on over to the NFL. Your thoughts on this Pittsburgh Giant game? Of course, Pittsburgh covers. It stays under the total, and Big Ben and of course had his defense played well last night.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Roethlisberger. I mean, we talked about it yesterday about, what kind of arm strength are we going to see? And I thought we saw plenty of not only arm strength, but touch on his passes when he needed it to. I mean, it wasn't just slinging it around the field. I was really impressed with what I saw from him. And, from a Giants standpoint, we knew this was coming. I mean, I was surprised they took an early lead and held on to it for a while there right before the half. But, it was all about, the Pittsburgh defense and their ability to penetrate the Giants' offensive line, which had, I believe, 3 new starters and a rookie on their offensive line. So, surprised to me it took so long, but in the end, the better team won.
Absolutely, a better team won. We'll talk a little bit about the second game, Tennessee and Denver, in a little bit, but we got to keep the show moving because we're going to cover. We got a lot of free picks coming. We got the hockey game coming in, East Final. We've got both NBA games. We'll have picks on those. So let's go ahead and bring in Alex Smart. We welcome him to the show. Alex, how you doing today? And of course, you're going to be looking at the hockey game, at the Islander game, and the Flyers. But your thoughts on that Vegas game, and of course, Dallas moving on.
I don't know. I'm lost for words. Vegas looked so tough. They looked like they had everything together, and I don't know what happened. I wish I did. And Dana being in Vegas, has a real close look at this group, and there's something wrong there now. All of a sudden, just like that, everybody was like they were the talk of the town, and maybe the talk of the NHL for the last 2 years, but they can't just finish the deal, and maybe they're inexperienced, like this is still an expansion franchise, so there are issues sometimes. Just going from zero to hero overnight's not an easy deal. So it's not always easy to handle a situation like this. And Dallas all of a sudden played their best hockey of the entire year all at once. So there you go. This is sports.
All right, so we're looking at the game tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Islanders in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's look good in this series, and they're favored big here. Minus 170 total coming in at 5, juice to the over.
Well, the Islanders are a kind of team that they're detail orientated. They play an amazing defensive style of hockey. When they're on their game, they can beat any team in the NHL. So what we've got here is a situation where we have value on the money line with the New York Islanders. This is do or die for them. They have to come up with a big game. Barry Trotz has been here before. This young team has proven. They do have some older guys. Don't get me wrong, but overall the core of this team is fairly young and actually starting to become very experienced. And they can beat anybody in this league. And, with the type of hockey they play, now I know Tampa Bay has played Barry Trotz style of hockey a little bit better than the Islanders actually have this playoff year. But tonight, with the value, I'm going with the Islanders.
All right, that's Alex Mark coming in here with the Islanders. And your thoughts here on this one. Islanders a big dog and looking to stave off elimination, Dana.
Well, this just comes down to that top line for the Islanders. Is Barzal and Eberle and Anders Lee, are they going to step up and lead this team? Because, they're great defensively, but they've got to score some goals. And from a Lightning standpoint, there is going to be some lineup changes. It's likely that John Cooper is going to put Anthony Cirelli on that top line, move him from second line wing to center of that top line. So you do have some change at the top here. He'll be with Palat and Kucherov. So there is some changes there. I don't think it's going to be a major change. But listen, if that top line for the Islanders doesn't produce like they did in the last game, I mean, honestly, you talk about value, and I agree with you completely. In your assessment, because that I can certainly see that happening. But from my standpoint, I'm trying to continue building an NHL bankroll. So I'm looking at that minus 1.5 plus money, and mine might just play that out. Not because I particularly think that this will be the game. I happen to, but I'm going to catch one of these next 2 games with Tampa Bay and the plus money. So if I can catch one of the two, I'm going to make money on this series.
Alex, you're a professional gambler first, handicapper second. You move a lot of money, and of course, you've been at it a long time. And we're looking here at this total. Do you have any thoughts on the total? We're seeing heavy juice on the 5. You think it might hit the 5.5?
Well, once again with the New York Islanders, I mean, their defense hasn't been as spectacular. But you got to remember, Tampa Bay is an amazing team. I mean, last year was just we're going to throw that out the window. This is a team that's headed towards a Stanley Cup, in my opinion. I think that they depart the Islanders here soon, but you got to remember, here we are with value again. I get caught up in this all the time. Is it possible to catch a 15-1 odds on them making it past Tampa Bay? That's good value too. Like anything's possible with Barry Trotz, and Dana was correct. I mean, number one, another thing too, Zikas is out, and he's a key player there. But with Eberle, the way he's been just frustrated, not being able to score, I can see tonight Barry Trotz sort of changing the lines up, and we might see Bavalier on that first line with Barzal. And I'm looking tonight, at least for tonight, for our money line underdog to catch.
All right, Dana, any thoughts on this total here? Seeing heavily juiced now to 5. Do you think it might hit 5 in the hook?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to hit 5.5, but I do like the over in this. I mean, you do have to lay $1.40 right now. That looks like the prevailing line. But, God, when you got Kucherov and guys that even if Braden Point doesn't play, I mean, there is a chance there for sure. And I think 5 is just a short number. I don't love 40, but I do like the side a little bit more than the total. But if I had to get involved in the total, it certainly would be on the over, especially if you like Tampa Bay in this game. I mean, if I am giving out Tampa minus 1.5, I kind of like to have the over. I don't see this being a 3-1 game. And again, talk about the empty netters in this kind of situation. It's not just a possibility to get one empty netter. I mean, we could be looking at multiple empty netters. So if it's a 2-goal game, and we didn't get that last night in the Vegas game because it was always a 1-goal game, and it does open up, I want to be on the side of the over.
All right, here on the drive-through, Monday to Friday, 6 p.m. Each time with Alex Smart. Alex coming in here with the underdog in this one with Islanders in Tampa Bay. Alex, doing fantastic work over at Pick Dogs. Overall, you're in the top of the leaderboards in hockey, 880 units for the year. What do you have going on right now at Pick Dogs Premium?
Pick Dogs tonight's pretty limited. We've got some NBA action. And once again, I'm going after that Clippers-Denver game. That should be very interesting. And I have one Major League Baseball selection on for today. And, of course, we're going to be looking towards all kinds of football as the week goes on.
All right, guys, check out Alex Smart over at Pick Dogs. He's having a fantastic year this year. You can see the numbers documented in hockey, plus 880 units. As always, Alex, great having you on the show. Have a great week, and we will talk to you in a couple days.
Okay. Take care, gentlemen. See ya.
All right. Alex Smart here joining us here on the drive-thru. Just quick thoughts here, Dana, on that game 2 of Monday Night Football, Tennessee and Denver. Really tough game to watch, especially if you're at Tennessee and all the points that they left off the scoreboard with the kicking game.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I wanted my running back to get 31 carries on opening night, but that's what Derrick Henry got, and I thought he was fantastic, 31 carries for 116, so got to be happy with the running game. Again, we talked about last night at Drew Lock, is the offense going to get opened up for him a little bit? I'm not sure he's ready to handle that, which is like why I really favor the under in this. I just I couldn't foresee the Broncos putting up, 23 to 27 points, which of course they didn't. I thought he was okay. I thought he managed the game well enough, not well enough for me to be excited about, getting involved in overs when the Broncos are involved. But Denver couldn't convert on third down. That was a problem last night as well. And I guess they're going to stick with Gostkowski. So that's the updated news on him. But good on the Titans getting the win. Not overly impressed with Denver. And I'd like to see the offense maybe a little bit more balanced for Tennessee. But I guess when you got a workhorse and you're going to get triple digits with him on the ground, I guess you just hand it to him.
All right, drive through here, joined by Dana Lane. We've got the NBA picks coming up on deck. We've got the Celtics and Heat tip-off time, 6:40 p.m. Eastern time. So let's don't delay anymore. Let's bring in Shane Mickel. You'll find him over at the Pick Dogs. Shane, how you doing today? You're fantastic in the NBA. Number 2, over 1,500 units of profit. How are things going?
Yeah, it's going good. I missed the day off yesterday with the NBA, so I'm excited for everything to get rolling again here.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, a lot of rest for this Boston Celtics team. I brought this up yesterday with Rod. We're seeing a lot of these teams after they complete their series, one day off, get back on the court. But now Boston gets a lot of rest after their Game 7.
Yeah, well, and the Heat have even more rest, knocking off the Bucks earlier. And I don't know, it'll be interesting. It's a little different because both the teams at least have had a couple days off, but might see a slow start to this one from both teams in the first quarter.
All right, you're taking a look here at Miami-Boston. Let's get the numbers here. Boston favored 2 in this one. And look at the total here in a second. But let's see what the total over-under line here in this Boston-Miami game number 1. It sits at 209, and it's mixed. You can find 209.5, 208.5. How do you see this one, Shane?
Yeah, on paper, pretty good series. It should be competitive all the way. This is a series I see probably going 7. But the one key here in game 1 I see is Jimmy Butler and how the Celtics have slowed him down. They played 3 games so far this year. The last game was inside the bubble. Butler didn't play in that one. Digging in the numbers a little bit, the 2 games that Butler did play in earlier in the year, the Celtics won both of them, and the big reason was the plus-minus for Jimmy Butler was, I think, -7 in one game and then -14 in the other. Marcus Smart we'll be on him all night, and that'll be the bad matchup to watch. I think Marcus Smart clamps him down, and the Celtics come away with this one.
All right, Shane Mickle is on the Celtics. Danny, your thoughts here in game number one? Will Miami be able to find shots? Will Boston need a game or two to get those adjustments in to tighten up defensively? How do you see game one playing out?
Yeah, anytime I see this number, I see it at 208.5 as a consensus, but obviously the pick is still the same, whether it's 208 or 209. Both of these teams, last time that they played, found the free throw line quite a bit. In fact, Miami averaged 29 trips to the free throw line in their games against the Celtics this year. One game they had a 39 free throws in that game, and it was without Jimmy Butler. And if you know anything about Jimmy Butler and his history against the Celtics, he gets to the line a ton too. He's going to go right to the basket. Last time out against the Celtics, he had 11 free throw attempts. So, it's very, very important when you're dealing with the Celtics, who are a fantastic defensive team, that you have teams that can hit the free throws to give you those extra points. And of course, it's only a bonus if Miami comes out and starts threes, which is what Spoelstra's MO is and what they're going to try to do early. I like this. I hope this number keeps going under, because I definitely like the over in this.
All right, Shane, your thoughts here on total on this one. Will the teams come out, Miami with that long layoff, how do you think they'll find their shots here, in this situation? They've only played one game over the minimum thus far.
Yeah, like I said, I think I do have a premium pick on it over at the site, but I do think, especially in the first and second quarters, I expect a really low scoring. So maybe even I guess I'd probably go the opposite of Dana. I'd like the under in the first half.
All right, Shane Mickle here on the drive-through. And Shane, I know you're doing fantastic work over at Pig Dogs. As we're getting about 20 minutes from tip-off. What do you got going right now over at Pig Dogs Premium?
Yeah, I got a 3-pack going tonight. Play in both the NBA games, and I also have a top play in the MLB, and I think I've got that for $34.95. So hop on that package and hopefully deliver some winners for you.
All right, guys. So check out Shane Mickle over at Pig Dogs. Fantastic work in the NBA season. Pick up a package from him. As always, Shane, great having you on the show. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you in a couple days.
Sounds good. Have a good one, you guys.
All right. That was Shane Mickle joining us here on the drive-through. All right. We got more picks coming up. We'll talk the Denver Clippers and more. I'm going to look at a game here, Dana, at the top of the hour. Toronto and the Yankees, Walker and Garcia. And we're seeing Yankees favored, pretty sizable favorite here, about $1.57 in places. Total sits at 9. Of course, this young prospect for the Yankees, I like him, but Taijuan Walker's pitched well this season. So your thoughts on this game?
Well, I definitely like the kid for the Yankees. I mean, we talked about him last week. His stuff was absolutely electric, but Walker has pitched well as could be expected after the trade. So this is kind of one of those games where I'm looking at the number right now. It's not an attractive number, and I kind of will stay out of it. But the one thing you have to remember, I mean, that second half line. If you're playing in-game wagering, remember Toronto was absolutely explosive in the later innings. Their bullpen has been credited with wins, which means they're behind. They come back, on a pretty regular basis. They do for their bullpen. Walker started 8 games this year. He hadn't allowed an earned run in half of them, which is impressive as well. But this Davy Garcia, he's got quite praise from Pedro Martinez over the weekend, and if Pedro likes him, that's good enough for me. But I think this game is going to go under, and just because you don't know a lot about these guys, especially with Garcia, I mean, you talk to guys around the league, and they will say this kid is a real electric stuff. He's not just a guy that's coming up, from Scranton trying to get a spot start, and we'll see what we have out of him. I mean, he's a guy that's got really good stuff, but it's tough to go again. I mean, until I can become more – I know Stanton's coming off the IL. Until I can become more comfortable with New York and the fact that they're going to put up runs consistently, I always have to go look at the other team, especially if I can grab a run and a half and only give up a little bit of juice.
All right, it's Dana Lane, document number 1, Major League Baseball over at Pick Dogs Premium Section. Dana, you got to play for the show today. We've got the top of the card here. First pitch about 15 minutes. Washington with Anibal Sanchez at Tampa Bay Curtis. And we're finding here Tampa Bay sizable favorites here about $1.75 to $1.80. Total sits here at 9 runs.
Yeah, I like the under in this one as well. And I know if you look at the numbers for Anibal Sanchez, they haven't been, very impressive. And, opposing hitters are hitting .329 against him this year. And that is the highest average allowed by any pitchers with at least 30 innings. He has been a little bit better as of late. The guys that have seen his bullpen sessions, they said that, he's as well as what they would expect him to be at this point. I know a good outing is coming for Sanchez, and I know a good outings is coming for Sanchez. And I don't know if the overall chemistry in that team is what it was last year. Obviously, they have struggled a bit. But as far as Tampa is concerned, John Curtis, he's getting his 13th start this year, second time as an opener, so he's not going to go deep into the game. But we've said this before. I love this little opener, do 2 innings, and the next guy comes in and pitches 3 innings. I think that works a lot for a lot of teams, and it certainly works for Tampa Bay because they were the first ones to do this. I like the under in this. I expect a good outing out of Sanchez. I think he's going to give you a good solid 5 or 6 innings, and I also like the bullpen game for Toronto. It's going to keep the Washington Nationals on their back feet, which they've been all year.
All right, Dana Lane, number 1 Major League Baseball document over at Pick Dogs, says the under, top of the card here with the Washington Nationals, Tampa Bay Rays. All right, Dana, of course, we're getting close to tip-off in the NBA, and a lot of action top of the hour. What do you have going on at Pick Dogs right now?
We still have all 3 of our games left. I got Arizona, Los Angeles, Oakland, and Colorado. Minnesota and the Sox will be starting soon. You get out game winner, my upper class winner. And of course, I've been extremely happy with the results this year, but make sure that you get involved right now. All the prices are discounted. We're going to get that big run at the second half of the year or second half of the month. I want you to get involved. I want you to make money. So then when we move forward into October, you got a decent sized bankroll that we can work with.
All right, guys, check out Dana Lane over at Pick Dogs. He's got his card up there for you. Number 1 document in Major League Baseball. Fantastic year overall. Dana Lane over at Pick Dogs Premium. All right, near the bottom of the hour, let's take a look at the game here. Going off at 7:40 Eastern Time. St. Louis, Flaherty, Milwaukee, and Anderson. And we're finding here Flaherty, road favorite here, about $1.30. Total sits here at 8.5. And, of course, Flaherty, the righties coming off a decent start against the Tigers. He got in 5 innings, gave up 2 earned runs. Anderson, though, he's been roughed up a little bit for 8 earned runs over his past 10 innings, and teams are hitting .293 on him. So your thoughts here on this Cardinals and Brewers game?
Well, as far as Anderson's concerned, you got to make sure he's healthy. He was scratched Saturday from his start against the Cubs. He had, hip issues, and for a pitcher, that's probably the issue next to an oblique or an arm issue. And, so I'm not really sure what I'm going to get out of him. Which makes this kind of a no play for me. But as far as Flaherty he has a huge ERA on the road, not very good. He's in his 3rd start. He's probably not a guy that's going to give you 6 innings. He's probably going to be a 5-inning guy, maybe even a 4-inning guy. So I think this is going to become a pen game pretty early, probably by the 5th inning. If not the 5th, definitely the 6th inning. And you have a Brewers team that's come in. They've dropped 6 of the last 9. They've only scored 7 runs in the last 5 games since their 19-0 win. So I'm not really sure where either of these teams are. I don't really like either of these pitchers. Usually, though, Tony, I will say this. Usually when you're unsure about what you're going to get from either starter, sometimes that spells an under where you got 2 negatives actually equal something else. So the number's sitting at 8.5 right now. That's telling me that the books also think that. I think that number's a little bit low in relation to who's pitching or who's starting these games at least. But I think I would tend to go with the under, and that's just based on the experience of when two guys like this come in and there's not a lot of positive things to say about either, you tend to get a good, for whatever reason, you get a good outing by both pitchers.
All right, Dana Lane here, joining me here on the drive-through. And one thing with the Brewers lineup against right-handers, just 206, putting up 3.3 runs per game. What's happened to this lineup for the Brewers?
I mean, we've talked about this a million times. I mean, you just got guys that you normally would be able to rely on that you just simply can't. I mean, I know they had their huge outburst, and that's all great and all, but even when they're going up against the Pirates this year, a staff that is in complete disarray. I mean, they a team that you handle easily with this season to score runs. So this is never a team that I can rely on if I'm on an over or on the side. So I just kind of stay away from them because I don't know what their identity is yet.
All right, this is Dana Lane joining me here on the drive-through, 6 p.m. Eastern time. We break down all the games, get some picks out. With more picks coming on the show, we'll get to the Denver Nugget Clipper game. We've got some more baseball, and let's go ahead and bring in one of the puck dogs, Chris Ruffalo. You listen to him and watch him in the mornings at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time with Mitch and the company. Chris, how you doing today? You're giving us a 2 for Tuesday? Is that what you're doing for us, buddy?
Yeah, you know what? It was my package today. I said, you know what? I'm going to be on the drive-through tonight. Might as well do a 2 for Tuesday. Give you guys a combo tonight.
Nice. I know you keep an eye on the NHL as well, and your thoughts here on Dallas and their chances of win to hoisting the cup.
I mean, I think they've got, I was going to say, state the obvious, they got a 50-50 shot. But, I mean, you know what? Looking at how they handled Vegas last night, it's like Dana said earlier, you could tell that Vegas ran out of gas in that game. And I think the turning point was obviously when Kiviranta scored to make it 2-2. You could sort of see the air come out of the balloon, and you could just see Vegas sort of just playing out the string. And they just seemed almost disinterested at that point. It was just kind of eye-opening to watch that it was, you just see that the air, like I said, the air came out of the balloon and it eventually ended up with Dallas scoring the winner and moving on to their first cup final in 20 years.
Go ahead, Dana.
Yeah, that's a great point and a great word, disinterested. And this is going back to why I think this team might get blown up a little bit, because this is not the first year in a row something has happened to them and they shrugged their shoulders and said, we're done as far as being, I don't want to say interested, but as far as that emotion is concerned. I mean, remember last year when they got the horrible call against the Sharks. Well, woe is me at that point. They still should have put the Sharks away. And then this year, woe is us. It's 2-2 now. Well, we thought we had this in the bag. I just don't know if they have the makeup internally to be able to take that last step to hoist the Stanley Cup. That's why I think you got to get better players with a little bit better moxie.
All right, here on the drive-through, joined here with Chris Ruffalo, Dana Lane, and my co-host. All right, Chris, let's go with play number 1. Oakland, Minea, Colorado, Zenzatella. I just like saying his name. Oakland favored about $1.35. Total sits here at 11.5, a high total. Zenzatella a little improved this year. He's usually, when you look at him, he's usually an ERA over 7, but this year he's half of that. So how do you see this one?
Well, I think one of my favorite sort of underlying plays, whenever I look at a card and I see a game at Coors Field, I look at the pitching matchup, the starting pitching, because these guys are obviously going to.
You might have lost your audio there.
Oh. You guys hear me now?
Dana, are you there, Dana?
I can hear.
All right, maybe I lost the audio. Keep going, guys.
Sorry, one of my favorite angles to sort of look at is starting pitchers, because obviously these guys are going to be the ones that are going to hopefully go the longest part of the game. And, I see a total here at 11.5 between Senzatella and Minea. And granted, these are two pitchers that haven't put up the best numbers over the course of the season. But, I mean, you look at Minea over his last 5 starts, 4-0 with a 1.69 ERA. Senzatella, he has a 5.22 ERA at Coors. He's been better. He's got a 2.82 ERA at home this season. And, the A's just played a doubleheader yesterday. I expect the offense to be a little bit sluggish. Under's 22-5-1 in Oakland's last 28, with his total set at 11 or higher, and 21-10-2 in Colorado's last 33 interleague home games, and 7-1-1 in the last 9 between these two. I like the under here. I wouldn't be surprised if this one stayed well under 10.
Dana, you look here at the under the total here from Chris. I kind of agree with him on that. I handicapped it, thought it'd come in under with the Athletics bullpen of the Rockies. Just a little struggle on the hitting, and of course Zenzatella, a little improvement. But one thing you got to worry about the Rockies, that bullpen at home has been a little shaky.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. But I couldn't agree more with both of you guys about the under on this. I think this number is way too high. And also remember, Manaea is probably, he's trying to pitch his way onto the playoff staff, and I think that, he's probably going to with a W tonight. I mean, I don't know, after tonight probably has one more start or two more starts, but this is a very important start for him as far as moving towards the postseason and having a spot in that rotation. And historically, he has pitched pretty well. He has pitched pretty well in this situation. And as far as Zenzatella is concerned, he too has pitched well against the Oakland A's in his history. So I think you have two pitchers that are motivated. One has had success against the other. One that wants to get a spot on the postseason roster. And I know want doesn't always equal W's. I kind of hate that when people say that. But when want and ability meet, I think it brings you to another level. And I think, both of these pitchers have the ability to shut the other team down. I think we are definitely going to get into the bullpen, and this might get hairy at some point. But I think we're looking around 9, which is the number that I had on this game, or 9.5 I had on this game.
I'm with you there. Dana Lane and Chris Ruffalo join me here on the drive-thru. Chris, let's go with play number 2. It's KC and Detroit. We're finding KC favored $1.15. Total sits at 9. Boyd on the mound here for Detroit. Junis penciled in, replacing Danny Duffy. Some questions as to how he's missing this one. Missed the plane. They found I was hearing some stories about him earlier. But one thing I know about Matt Boyd, man, be careful with this guy. How do you see this one?
I think I said it on the morning show this morning when we saw Matt Boyd and the Tigers at minus 115 in favor of the Royals. I said that line made me physically angry, and I almost wanted to turn my light green in the background just to almost hulk up at how mad that line made me. Matt Boyd is a walking Christmas tree every time he goes to the mound with how badly this guy gets lit up. I think the three of us, and we could maybe take 6 other guys from the green room, we could probably put up a crooked number on Matt Boyd. As far as Jacob Junis goes, yes, he's coming off his worst start of the season where he gave up 5 runs in less than 5 innings. But he's also you probably use the Tigers to bounce back from a couple of rough starts in his career. 8-1 with an ERA just over 3. I got to go with the Royals at plus money at this price, especially with Matt Boyd not showing any signs of turning things around. I mean, you think he's going to turn a corner, and then next thing you know, guy gives up 7 runs in less than 3 innings and a 19-0 loss. So give me the Royals at plus money here.
You on the wagon there too with the Royals? Because I like the Royals. What do you think, Dana?
Well, that would be the side I would be on for sure. And don't get scared because it's a last second replacement either, because this is a guy that has pitched on 4, 5, and 6 days rest, and the only thing wrong with him is he absolutely gets no run support whatsoever. He's used to being in a different situation, so I don't. Anybody who says, well, he's going to be a last second pitcher, not being able to get mentally prepared. Some guys are better off in that situation, and he's kind of been, around, he days, and then he pitches. He's pitched on short notice, on long notice, so I think you're going to get an outing out of him. Matthew Boyd, as you pointed out, has been, even against the Royals career, he's been horrible. ERA is over 6.5 against a team that you should clean up against, but we look at the Royals lineup and what they do, what done against Matthew Boyd, and Merrifield's hit 5-4 with 9 extra base hits. Dozier has 10 hits. Those are key guys on the that hit Boyd hard, and you're getting a Royals team that might feel pretty good about themselves. I don't know if I'm getting excited because I just swept the Pittsburgh Pirates, but they did too before that against Cleveland Indians. This Kansas City team is feeling as good as they have all year, and now they're facing a pitcher that hasn't well against them historically.
Chris, when you're looking at the KC, they are hitting, and you look at the past 7 games, almost hitting 300, putting up nearly 7 runs a game. You're probably getting the better hitting lineup here as well.
Yeah, and to tell you the truth, that's something I looked at as well. And I said, you know what? That just made me like the pick even more. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Royals won this one by a couple. Dana's talked about it over the last few days, and when I've been watching you guys when I'm not on the call, and it's hearing how it makes just so much more sense to just maybe put a little bit extra just to go after the -1.5. And this is, I think, a prime spot where that can happen, especially with how Boyd's been knocked around. Junis is due for a good start. He only gave up 2 runs in each of his previous 4 starts before that last start where he gave up 5. So I think this is a good spot as any to maybe take a shot with the Royals on the run line as well. I haven't found a price for that yet, but I can imagine it'd be something pretty substantial, probably around a +160, if not more.
All right, Chris Ruffalo joined us here on the drive-through. Chris, you're putting up great numbers over at Pick Dogs. Overall, nearly 1,300 units of profit documented. What do you got going on at Pick Dogs Premium?
Well, my 2 for Tuesday went off the board with the Heat game at 6:30, but I'm retooling a little bit of stuff around just in case anybody missed out on anything today. I'm going to have a 6-pack of games that are going off at starting at 8 Eastern. I'm going to have 3 MLB in there with a side and a total in the Denver Nuggets game tonight, as well as my top play for the side for the NHL game tonight.
All right, Chris, as always, great having you on your show. Check him out over at Pick Dogs. He's doing fantastic work. It's all documented at the site. Have a great night, and we will talk with you tomorrow.
Gentlemen, thank you again. Have a good night.
All right, that was Chris Ruffalo joining us here on the drive-through. Of course, there was some news here about that Seattle-San Francisco series. Looks like the weather, the air quality bad, Dana, over in Seattle. I guess they're going to move this series to San Francisco.
I'll tell you, Tony, I don't know if you've gotten the chance or had the chance to see some of the pictures on Twitter, but it's unbelievable what is going on. And, I give my best to all the people that are fighting these fires. And unfortunately, I don't know how we live in a world where there's some people outside of the gender reveal are actually helping the fire along. And, this is unfortunate, and my heart kind of breaks in these situations because we live in a fantastic country with fantastic, but you hate to see what the cities in Oregon and Northern California are going to have to deal with right now. Hopefully we can get reports are out of San Francisco, at least that area, that the weather, that the quality is better. The fires are a little bit under control, but of course it's far from over completely everywhere.
Absolutely. Here at the drive-thru, we have more free picks coming. We're going to get the Nuggets Clipper. We'll have a pick on that and a lot more baseball as well. Let's take a look at this Dodger-Padre game. 9:10 Eastern Time, Gonzalez against Davies. Davies had a pretty good year this year, but it's Dodgers laying about $1.30. Total sits here at 8.5. Of course, the Padres got to L.A. They've been on a winning streak. Dana, Zach Davies, he's come over from Milwaukee. They didn't have much confidence in him. He comes over, has been pitching well. One thing with Gonzalez, he doesn't go deep into games. He's got some good numbers, but he can only average just about 4 2/3 innings. So the Padres winners of 9 straight in this one against L.A.
He's had some success against Padres. In fact, the Padres have got to score against him whenever they faced him. They had 1 start this month. Over the past 2 seasons, he's only allowed 3 hits to the Padres, and that's only in 6 2/3 innings. But I guess that's something to look at. And from Zach Davies, he's had plenty of success against the Dodgers. He's won out of his 5 decisions against Los Angeles. His ERA is 2.08. His under 1. So both of these pitchers have had some degree of success against each other. And I'm looking at 8.5. And I know people are in love with offense, and certainly there's a lot to be in love with both of these offenses. But 8.5. I think these 2 pitchers, are going to surprise a little bit. And even though the Padres have won 8 straight, they're 32-17 on the year. Everybody's excited about the potential of them catching Los Angeles. But I think it's pitching in this one that's going to win. Despite the fact that offense is obviously the attractive feature between these 2 games, or between these 2 teams.
All right, Dana Lane here, join us here on the drive-thru. My co-host, he says he likes the under. Rod Zawacki was scheduled to join us. This was his game, and he says he likes the Padres in this one, plus in this one against the Dodgers. Wadzowacki, you'll find him, you'll listen to him and watch him with Mitch and Company, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time with the morning show. All right, we'll continue our coverage here with Dana Lane, and we're going to continue our coverage with baseball, and we're going to bring in Al Ninos to the show. And of course, Al, you can find him over at Pick Dogs. Al, how you doing this evening?
Doing pretty good. A little disappointed by the Titans kicking there last night, but you know, we move on and hopefully bounce back today.
Hopefully bounce back. Yeah, Groskowski, a real tough day there, Al. And of course, Tennessee had their chances to get some points on the board, but you know, you go for field goals. That's what happens. You got to get that ball in the end zone.
Well, you got to make those field goals. What I got to say about that. But anyway, moving on back to baseball real quick. We're looking at the Mets at the Phillies here. Porcello going for the Mets and Arrieta going for the Phillies. And yeah, two pitchers that have been getting hit pretty hard this year. But I still kind of like Arrieta. I've always liked Arrieta better than Porcello. And both these teams have been pretty inconsistent too this year. Neither of them playing their best baseball right now. The Phillies are pretty banged up. A lot of big bats out of their lineup, but they still have a lot of big names in there too. And yeah, they've been pretty cold lately, but nothing better than going up against Porcello to cure that. So hope he brings them back to life a bit. And I'm going to take a shot on the Phillies. I see them around plus 120. I think despite all their injuries, they're still worth a shot at that price.
Yeah, Mets are favored in the game about $1.25, yeah. So you get underdog money with the Phillies. Total sits here at 9.5. Daniel, I'd like to get your thoughts on this game here with Porcello favored here. Porcello is a pitcher you got to be a little really worried about when you take him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Al. I love Arrieta. I mean, I don't know if it's because I was so angry at him at one point for, you know, kicking the Pirates out of the postseason. I still hold a lot of anger still, but, you know, thankfully, you know, I remember that effort and I remember what he used to be. And I know that was a long time ago, but I still, from what, you know, people have said, he still kind of shows glimpses of that and have a great outing in his last outing. But he has pitched fairly well against Mets. He hasn't really always got the run support as needed, but his ERA is in that low area. And Porcello, I mean, there's just, you can't. I mean, it's like when you're taking your money and you're putting it on some of these pitchers. I mean, I don't know how you go to the window and say, "Give me the Mets," because you know, even though the Mets have played well, I guess a game over in their last 11 games. You know, that's not to me enough for a guy who absolutely got slaughtered by the Baltimore Orioles. And yes, the Orioles have had a nice year, but he didn't even compete. I mean, he gave up 10 hits, innings, didn't even compete. I can't come with a guy who gave up. I can come back with a guy who gave up, you know, 5 hits, 6 hits, 3 runs in 4 innings. I can't come back with a guy that gave up 10 hits and 5 runs, because I don't know where it is heading into this game. And if I don't know where it is, I'm certainly not putting my money behind him.
Yeah, it's tough to put your mind behind Porcello. Of course, he did face the Phillies twice this year, going up 6 earned runs in 12 2/3 innings. Mets dropping 2 straight. Now, of course, that's one thing you got to look at here, I think, in this situation. I'm with all of you. I like the Phillies here as getting plus money. Al, I know if you find you over at Pick Dogs, saw you near the top of the leaderboards over the weekend. So yeah, you've been performing well up there. So what do you got going on at the Pick Dogs?
Yeah, I had a pretty good weekend. My NBA pick just tipped off, so hope that one comes through for us. It's been a pretty good NBA run too. And I still have some baseball plays out there, a hockey play, and unfortunately, yeah, I had to play on that Giants-Mariners game, but that's not going to happen. So, yeah, still like the other plays, though, if you want to check them out. And as you said, good weekend, and I think we went 2-2 yesterday. So I'll hope for a winning day today.
All right, El Ninos, as always, great. That's right. Have a good day today tomorrow. All right, Al, as always, great having your show. Have yourself a great week, and we will talk with you tomorrow.
Thanks, you too.
All right, that was El Ninos here on the Pig Dogs drive-through show. Again, we're on every day, 6 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday, with free picks. And we'll get to the Nuggets Clippers pick in just a little bit. But Dana, I want to talk to you about this game. Nice NL Central one between Minnesota and the White Sox. Is Dobnak against Dunning. White Sox here favored here about $1.25. I'm seeing $1.35 in some place. So that number is all over the place. Total sits here at 9.
Yeah, I have this game up on the website, so I'll just touch on it briefly. There was some spots and a lot of opportunities to get a lot more last night than we did. I mean, Tim had a great play to save some runs, but Dane Dunning's getting the start for Chicago. He earned his first bid Wednesday, and now he's kind of thrown into the fire pit and probably the biggest not series this year, but probably the biggest series in years for the White Sox. I mean, this is something that, you know, I knew they were, and they remind me a lot of the Houston Astros. And when it was there, all these guys had to do is mature a little bit and kind of grow together. And I think that's what we're seeing out of Chicago. As far as Dobnak is concerned, he had a disastrous third inning against the St. Louis Cardinals in his last start, lost for the second time in his last 3 outings. I think there's going to be a lot of runs scored in this one. And this is why sometimes you got to watch these games. Last night easily went under the total, but did you feel there were some innings where they could have had some really big innings? They were one hit away from having huge innings. I think we're going to see that at some point, and I'm betting that's tonight between these two starters. I think it's ripe for an over. And it's at 9, so I think that's a generous number. We'll go over.
Yeah, I had that game on one of my monitors. Yeah, Minnesota left a lot of runners on base. They left a lot on the table there. Disappointing, losing in the late innings to the Chicago White Sox at 3-1. All right, here we're on the drive-through. Now it's time for my pick, and we're going to cover the Denver and LA Clippers game. Clippers favored at 7.5, total 208 and a half in this one. And I'm going to go ahead and take Denver plus 7.5. You know, Denver's supposed to be the fatigue team. But I think adrenaline's hit now. A little adrenaline rush disguises that fatigue as the team's overcome that 3-1 deficit, overcoming a 16-point and a 19-point deficit the past 2 games. LA's offense sputtered a little bit. Denver's had something to do with that as well. You know, and they're playing their 7th game in 14 days. Not comfortable laying this many points in what easily could finish with a margin 1 to 2 possessions. I'm going to look to take the points here, Dana. What's your thoughts in this Game 7 between Clippers and the Nuggets?
No, you're probably right on that. I mean, I still think the Clippers are the better of the two teams. It is interesting going into this series, you know, if you had to choose, you know, which duo or which tandem was better, I'm sure you would be on the side of the Clippers, you know, with Kawhi. And the difference in Denver and why this series has turned is their ability to drive to the basket, not only get to the free throw line, but they're also finishing at the rim. I don't know if they have enough left in the tank to be able to do that again tonight. 7.5, I know it looks like a big number, but some of these games can get out of hand in the end. Listen, you're the leaderboards in the NBA, so we'll listen to you a little bit more. But I do know this. Part of Denver's problems in Game 3 was their inability to get to the free throw line, which is absolutely huge. If you look at these games, if you look at their box scores, a lot of times the team that gets to the line the most and converts the most is the team that wins or covers the game. So that's the turnaround for Denver. So if they're able to do that, I'm right with you. There's still that portion of me that's still not 100% comfortable with the Nuggets in the biggest spot that you potentially could be in this series.
All right, it's Dana Lane here. Join me here on the drive-through. Reminder, join us every morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time for Mitch's show, the morning show. And he may be on. Check the comments to see if he'll have someone asked about the halftime, if Mitch will come on halftime of that Nuggets-Clippers game. So check the comments to see if Mitch will be on, or check your notifications. Hit the bell, set the notifications to see if you get Mitch at halftime tonight. All right. I want to get your thoughts here on this good one here. A lot of good baseball matchups today. 8:15 Eastern time. It's the Cleveland Indians and Chicago Cubs, Carrasco and Darvish. Chicago up to about $1.55 to $1.60 favorite, depending where you're shopping. Total sits are at 8. We know how good Darvish has been, but to Carrasco's past 3 starts, he's been pitching pretty well. Now, how do you see this one?
Yeah, and Darvish, does have to rebound off a kind of a subpar start, but Carrasco's looking for his first victory in a month, so I don't know if you're excited backing him, but you go six straight starts without a win. It's not really somebody I want to get behind as well. And he's not very good against the Cubs, although it's a short sample size. He did give up 3 runs and 4 hits and 5 walks in his last outing against the Cubs, so you can figure that into it. But as far as Carrasco is concerned, his recent start was against City, and he absolutely got lit up against Kansas City. And I always try to take note of pitchers that got not only lost but got lit up by teams that generally don't do those sort of things. And again, a lot of my handicapping is psychological. I always try to figure out, especially in baseball, which team and which pitcher comes into the matchup with a better head on their shoulders. I'm not sure Carrasco was there after not only not success in the season, but then getting lit up by Kansas City. I can't believe of the two, Darvish is probably pretty motivated to get that last outing back. I'm not thinking of the two, Carrasco is in the better frame of mind.
All right, the get-out game is Arizona Bumgarner and LA Tehran. The Angels opened $1.25, now up to about $1.45 in places, total 10.5. Of course, Bumgarner has been a really tough season for him, as well as Tehran, but Bumgarner has allowed 2 earned runs in his past 2 starts. Granted, he didn't go very deep, and he did face the Dodgers in that lineup. How do you see this one, the get-out game tonight?
I just, Tony, I have these private conversations with myself, and I just, I've watched Bumgarner throw even back, when he was with the Giants and at the end of his time there. And yeah, he's had some good outings. I just don't, something I scratch my head a little bit about what he's doing. I mean, 5 years, $85 million for a guy that clearly has been, he had a good section of the season last year, but never a guy I never felt about him the way I felt years ago or even 3 years ago. He just was different. He was getting hit hard. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm guessing the exit velocity and the barrels were the percentage and the miles per hour, which much more than they were 3 years ago. Just never a guy I really could lean on lately. As far as Tehran is concerned, another guy trying to get some starts together. His longest outing has been 5 innings this year. Another guy had a lot of success in another organization, really hasn't translated into loss yet. But we go back to the same adage of, okay, you got 2 pitchers that are kind of fighting for their careers, more Bumgarner than Tehran, but you got guys that got something to prove. Actually, when I got 2 guys that have something to prove, we get a pretty good pitching out. We get a pretty good pitching performance out of both. So the number's at 10.5. I think that's a little bit high. I'll take the under in that.
Yeah, I'm with you there with the under, because with the Arizona hitting lineup, I know it's Tehran pitching. Yeah, exactly. How the hell can you go 10.5 and with Arizona? The Angels are going to have to do all the heavy lifting in this game. I don't see how you can go over with Arizona.
Tony, not only that, I mean, we have basically seen the management in Arizona say, hey, look, we're done with the season. We're going to go with what we have, but we're going to get rid of Marte. I mean, you wanted this guy at the top of your lineup to give you a chance to get into postseason. Now, all of a sudden, because you're out of the postseason, now all of a sudden, well, we were more than willing to give him up to Miami. I just don't know where the direction of this team is going at this point. And the one guy that you really could build around in Marte, a guy that needed a fresh start, he said, we're giving him up.
All right, this is Dana Lane here. Join me on the drive-thru, guys. Tune in tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern time. We do this all again. We'll have baseball coverage. We'll mix in some NBA. We'll know what the West final will look like as the Clippers and Nuggets play Game 7, as well as we'll take a look at the Game 2 with Boston and Miami. Boston out to a quick start, 14-8 up on Miami here in game number 1. And we'll sprinkle in some NFL and college football for you as well. Let's bring in the Pick Dogs with the final wave goodbye. Thanks for joining us, guys, and we'll do it all again tomorrow.